The voice of authority voiceover style is used on documentary by documentarians like Ross Kemp, Louis Theroux, Nick Broomfield, and they basically are just there to relay information when they aren't in front of the camera. The next coding convention of documentaries is the idea of realism. Documentaries' main purpose is usually educational. They are non-fiction. They explain real events, some past history, explaining a controversial idea, but they are mainly educational, mainly to portray ideas, portray facts. So the idea of realism is really necessary. If events are constructed or it comes across like the documentary is talking a load of rubbish, then people aren't going to be engaged and they're going to not want to watch it. Archive footage is used in documentaries and is another coding convention. So archive footage is often used throughout, and it is evident in most documentaries. So for example, Ross Kemp, he uses a lot of archive footage. You have, I think, some Michael Moore, he has a lot of archive footage in his documentaries, but they basically just show old events, old footage, and yeah. We used archive footage in our documentary at the beginning because we wanted to create an opening sequence that was filled with footage, was cut really quickly and edited together, and combined with music in a way that's really captivating and engaging. So we put a lot of archive footage in this section because given 5 minutes, we thought this would be the best place to have archive footage. So that's where we use archive footage in our documentary, and I think it looks really good. The next coding convention is the interviews with experts or those who are more educated on the topic being covered by the documentarian. So for example, in Super Size Me, the documentarian talks to doctors, talks to health advisors, talks to dietitians, and these are the experts, and they basically have a conversation with the documentarian. This can be with a two-shot with the documentarian and the interviewee in the same shot, or it can just be of the interviewee, depending on the documentary style. We chose to have a two-shot of the documentarian, which was me, and the interviewee, so Jennifer and Richard, in the shot together because it was more of a conversation. Our documentary is more casual, it's not too serious, so we thought that it would be best to have both. And it looks really casual and looks really good, and you can see there's a relationship between the two. Yeah. The next coding convention is the use of text and titles. So these are used when information needs to be given to the audience quickly and isn't necessarily going to be said by the documentarian, or if the documentarian is discussing something already. So text and titles are often used when people are introduced. So for example, in the Heroes of War, when the heroes are introduced, they have their name and their occupation in the war on the screen. When facts and figures need to be communicated across really quickly, then they just use text and titles. We use text and titles when we're introducing me, the documentarian, when we introduce the interviewees as well, and we also use it when we're doing the stylistic feature of the hashtag, and that's when we have text as well to engage with the audience. The next coding convention is the use of sound. Sound is really good to use in documentaries because it will portray a certain effect and a certain feel and will cause the audience to feel a certain way. So for example, sound is used really effectively in Super Size Me. When McDonald's is on the screen, there is a childish song which undermines McDonald's completely, which is kind of the point of Super Size Me. And furthermore, we use sound almost throughout our documentary because we thought it would be quite boring to have interviews and stuff without any background music. We just thought it sounded quite plain. We tried it without and we didn't really like it. So we use sound in the opening sequence It is very loud and it's jumpy and quick and upbeat and fast tempo, which is exactly like how we edited the sequence of events. So we think the opening sequence of the quick shots and the quick cuts combined with the music is really, really, really effective, and they complement each other really well. The next time we use music is when I am with Jennifer, the Reiki healer. So we first use music when I am undergoing the Reiki session, and the music we used was actually from the music she played while I was having the session. Basically what we did was we detached the audio from the clip, deleted the footage and just had the audio bar, and we just heightened it so it wasn't as quiet and connected it to the footage that we wanted to use. And we carried this out throughout the whole scene with Jennifer, but we had it a lot lower when we were having the interview so that it didn't overpower our conversation. You could still hear what she was saying more than the music, which was really good. We then used music again for the interview with Richard because, again, we thought it was too plain and boring without. So the music we got was off a non-copyright website. We asked the creator of the song if we could use it and they said yes, which was really nice. So the music is non-copyright, so is the music at the beginning as well. And it just adds a little bit of an effect, some alternativity. It has a little tribal kind of feel to it, which obviously reflects what Richard is talking about. So we thought it was really, really good. The last coding convention is the use of exposition. So this is when at the beginning selective scenes are mushed together, which gives the audience the first impression. So that is what they will go by for the documentary. We got influence from this by from 24 Hours and A&E mainly. Their opening sequence is the same for every single episode in the whole series. The voiceover is the same, what they say is the same, the footage is the same, and then it has the titles of 24 Hours and A&E and the ticking clock, and then it will go into the different patients, and that section, the middle to end section, is the bit that's different, but the opening is always the same. I really, really, really liked that, and if our documentary was to be a 5-part documentary like we say it would, we would have it, we would have that opening throughout all of it. We tried to make it look like we had shot over various different types of people. So we had a hypnotherapist, which you never actually see that interview, you just see a little tiny snippet of it, a sentence of what she says, to make it look like there is another series where she was the main interviewee. And we also had a lady who goes to psychic events really often, and she's very easily hypnotised, she says. So again, we made it look like she was a main interviewee in another part of the documentary, but not the one that we were doing on that day. So we got that inspiration from 24 Hours and A&E because we thought it was really effective. Exposition is really useful because it catches the viewer's attention. It makes them think, oh, I want to watch what's coming up in this. So it's really good. Thank you.